Once again, a warm welcome to you all. In our previous class, we have studied about the importance of a constitution and its purposes. Today, we will take a close look at the Indian Constitution and its key features. Students, in our history class, we have already seen that under the British rule, the Indians were totally suppressed. They were governed by the laws which were completely framed by the British. During this suppression, the Indian leaders dreamed of having a democracy in India, and to do so, there was a need to frame a new constitution for India. This was not done by one person, but by a group of around 300 who became members of the Constituent Assembly in 1946, and these members met periodically for the next 3 years until the Constitution was fully framed or written. Writing the India's Constitution was a challenging, a difficult task. And why do you think so? Yes, India was made up of several different communities who spoke different languages, belonged to different religions, and had distinct culture. Second, when the Constitution was being written, India was going through considerable turmoil. The partition of the country into India and Pakistan. Third, some of the princely states that were ruled by a king were confused about their future. They were not knowing whether to join India or to remain independent. Fourth point, socio-economic condition of most of the people. Their condition was very bad. In fact, they were very poor or below the poverty line. All these points, though they look negative or challenging, gave all the leaders a new vision to come out with a supreme document, that is the India's Constitution. This document reflects a respect for maintaining diversity while preserving national unity. It also reflects their concern, the concern of all the leaders for eradicating poverty through socio-economic reforms or planning. In short, we can say that because of our visionary leaders, their hard work, especially in framing the India's Constitution, we all, irrespective of our caste, religion, color, are united, are living together in this one single country, India. Having this background in our mind, let us see some of the key features of our constitution. The first, federalism. This means a country has more than one level of government. In India, we have 3 tiers of government system. That is, at the village level, Panchayat Raj. Then we have the state government and the central government. This was done so that to avoid the central government sitting in the capital city of New Delhi and making laws for the entire India without even knowing or experiencing the true condition of different communities which are living in this one single country. For example, in a village, Sarpanch and Panch members know the village people and their conditions well. This helps them to work for their own village and villages. Same thing is applied to a state. But all these states of India are also supposed to follow the laws of the central government. The second key feature of our constitution is parliamentary form of government. Here, people elect their representatives. These elected leaders in turn are supposed to work for their people. Well, who has the right to elect their leaders? Yes, all those who have completed 18 years of age are free to elect their leaders, irrespective of their caste, religion, education, property, so on. And this is called the universal adult suffrage. So also, every citizen of the country is free to contest in elections. The third important key feature is separation of powers. According to the Constitution, there are 3 organs of the state. These are the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. The legislature means all the elected representatives or leaders. That is all the 40 MLAs of Goa. MLAs means members of the Legislative Assembly. Next is the executive. This executive is a smaller group of people who are responsible for implementing laws and running the government. And the third one is the judiciary. This refers to the system of courts in this country. In order to prevent the misuse of power by any one branch of the state, the Constitution says that each of these organs should exercise different powers. Through this, each organ acts as a check on the other organs of the state, and this ensures the balance of power between all three. The next important feature is secularism. A secular state is one in which the state does not officially promote any one religion as the state religion. That means the people are free to practice their own religion. And the fifth most important feature is fundamental rights. These fundamental rights are like a heart of the Constitution. Our Constitution has granted us 6 fundamental rights. The first, right to equality. This means we cannot discriminate any person. In the eyes of law, all are equal. The second right is right to freedom. Freedom of what? Yes, freedom of speech and expression. Yes, that's how we have so many people or reporters or media which criticizes our political leaders. They express their views and so on. Right to form associations like Workers' Association, wherein all the workers unite together. Sometimes they fight against injustice and so on. The right to move freely and reside in any part of the country. That's how we have so many migrant workers who are residing in Goa, practicing different professions, occupations or business. The next is right against exploitation. Here, the Constitution prohibits trafficking. What do you mean by trafficking? Yes, it means forcing or using human beings for a bad purpose. You cannot employ a child who is below 14 years of age. Next we have right to freedom of religion. As I have said earlier, under this right we are free to practice our own religion. Cultural and educational rights. Under this right, all minorities or religious can set up their own educational institutions in order to preserve and develop their own culture. For example, this institution is also coming under the rights of minorities, where the Salesian Society has set up this educational institution. Next we have right to constitutional remedies. Under this right, if any citizen feels that his rights are violated, the citizen is free to go to the court and demand justice. Students, in our today's class, we have learned about some key features of our Indian Constitution. Students, do you know who is the father of the Indian Constitution? Yes, he is none other than Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, who personally belonged to a scheduled caste and worked for the upliftment of scheduled caste. Now, what is this scheduled caste? Yes, during the medieval and modern period, people used to strongly believe in a caste system. That is, Hindu community was divided into four major castes: Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, and Dalits or untouchables. They used to believe that Brahmanas means God's head, Kshatriyas means God's chest, Vaishyas means God's stomach, and Shudras means God's leg. Below all these castes were Dalits or untouchables. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar belonged to these untouchables or scheduled caste. Due to this myth of caste system, people used to ill-treat all those who belonged to this low caste. Means they were treated as dirty. So much so that they were not allowed to move freely in a village. Having burned himself in the flames of caste system, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar really worked hard not only to frame our India's constitution but to uplift the scheduled caste. Like for example, one could find so many provisions which are made in the constitution for the upliftment of these people. The right to equality is one of the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. Finally, this right has helped to eradicate the caste system. Students, I am sure that you have got sufficient knowledge of this supreme document, that is the Indian Constitution. See you in the next class. Take care. God bless you.